It was a sunny and breezy morning in mid-October when we arrived in front of the UNHCR in Ankara, Turkey. The UNHCR stands for United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Why we were there? I'm a Kurd from Iran, from Kurdistan, Iran, which is like Rocky Mountains. We have Zagros Mountains there. And it was about 6 months after graduating from medical school, while I was waiting by force, actually. I'm not going to give you the details here, but I was waiting for my residency in neurosurgery to start next year. And I was working, meanwhile, in south of Iran, in an island, which is hot and humid, like Florida, even hotter than Florida. However, it was a good place in the evening. From the evening to morning, it was nice. And my income was really good from my private clinic, which was 10 times of my salary from the government clinic. However, because I was a human rights activist defending human rights, women rights, children rights, minority rights, which in Iran nobody has any right anyway. And it's different with the activists today in the United States or Western world. I was a real activist, real liberal, because I got in trouble with the Islamic regime several times, and it got to the point that it was a life-threatening situation, so I had to leave. And they blocked my bank accounts. I had only $4,000 US dollars cash at home, so we got that and some Iranian currency and a backpack and our son, and we left. In front of UN there were hundreds of people, and I heard that at that time the UN would not accept refugees from Iran anymore. So we decided to cross the border from Turkey to Greece and then go to Athens, to UN in Athens. I'm not going to give you all the details what happened. However, finally we found someone in a very small town on the border of Turkey to Greece. I knew that there was Maritsa River on the border and it was huge. So we needed some help to help us to go to the other side of the river. And we found someone. He wanted $1,500 to put us in his kayak in the middle of night and take us to the other side. We agreed upon $1,000, and so he took us. Actually, he paid some money to some officers, the military officers in that area, because that Turkish town was heavily militarized at that time. So he took us to the other side of the river, but he didn't say that there is another branch of the Maritsa River on the other side. He tricked us. He said, there are people waiting for you. If you walk straight forward, you will meet those people to take you to Athens. And we walked and walked and walked for a few hours, and we saw the river in front of us. First, I thought we were just circling around ourselves in that area. But because I knew how to navigate at night using the stars and the moon, I realized that we were actually heading to the right direction. However, there was the river there. So I remembered that on the map I saw before that the Maritsa River actually branches out in that area. And it makes kind of like a triangle shape with the two branches of Maritsa River and Aegean Sea or Mediterranean Sea on the south side. It's a foresty area. It is a large area. And at that time I didn't know it was very dangerous area. But later on, few years later, when I came to the United States, I saw a report, I think it was from BBC, that a reporter did some research and they found in that area within 10 years 23,000 people died. So anyway, we saw the river and we realized that we were stuck between the two branches of Maritsa River and the sea on the south side. We had only one small bottle of water, one flat bread like tortilla. And then when I realized what happened, I told my wife, I said, listen, we need to keep the water and the bread for our son, and then during the day we're gonna hide under the bushes and trees, because on one side there was Turkish border patrol, on the other side was Greek border patrol, and we were in this kind of triangle area. But the triangle is not a small area, it's a large area. That's what we did. During days we were hiding, and at night we were searching for kind of kayak or canoe or someone or something to help us to go to the other side of the river. In the second night, in the evening, when the Greek border patrols went back to their base, to their station, we started searching again. And I found like a small flat wood, and it was like by the side of the river. However, it was in the water. So I tried to use it, but because it was soaked, so I fell in the water and my clothes were wet. So I said, that's fine, let's go walk around and see if I can find something else. So we walked for several hours, and my wife and my son were tired. I said, okay, I'm gonna make a small fire. You go ahead and get some sleep, and then in the morning I get some sleep and you watch while we were hiding during the day. So I made a small fire under a big dead tree, and they fell asleep right away. I covered them with the jackets we had, and then I was collecting logs, dead branches of trees, and whatever I could to keep the fire going. So the fire was good, and then every like several minutes I was going to get some dead branches of trees and logs, and then in the middle of night, probably around 2 a.m. or something like that, I was about 100 meters away from the fire, and I heard some noises between the bushes. And then I backed up a little bit. I saw a few shiny objects and they were moving. And then at that time, I thought probably it's the eyes of some kind of animals. So I got a little bit scared. I grabbed some the dead branches and walked back toward the fire. While I was walking back, I heard the howling from far. Actually, it was not from those wolves that later on I realized they were wolves, but it was from farther. And then I moved back toward the fire, and I was very scared. So I put some more logs and dead branches in the fire to make it bigger, and I made a circle of fire around my wife and my son. And I was waiting and watching, and I was scared because I remembered the stories, the bedtime stories from my grandma when I was a child, that was like baby cars, baby ships, and even human babies. So I was very concerned, very scared. And then while I made that circle of fire and I was watching, I saw actually they were moving toward us. So at that time I got really scared, and it was like an electric shock in my body and my back, and I felt a huge power that I didn't have it before. There was a dead branch from that tree right on the fire, and I tried actually to get some of those branches for the fire, but it was high, I couldn't reach. And I couldn't climb the tree because it was a dead tree, there was no skin around it or anything that helped me to climb a little bit. But at that moment, I got that power that I jumped all the way up and grabbed that dead tree, broke it down right into the fire, and the fire blazed up. And just a few seconds after that, there was the barrage of bullets. Thousands of bullets landed all around us. So at that time, with the noise of the bullets, my wife and my son woke up. So I pushed them back underground. I said, just stay grounded. They're shooting at us. So it was about like 10 minutes shooting. I don't know if you've ever been in war or in such a situation that you hear the noise of the bullets, that it goes right and left above you, and it's like whoosh, 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 and hit the ground. So at that time, I kept them grounded, and I crawled toward the fire. I put some dirt on the fire to extinguish it. And fortunately, at least it helped the wolves run away, or if they got hit, I don't know, but at least they were not there anymore. And then we crawled about 100 meters away from the fire. We got up and moved away from the fire. And I knew they're gonna come and search. And next day, they came actually. While we were hiding under bushes, I heard the voice of the soldiers, the Greek soldiers, in that area, and I told my son, I said, there is police here. Don't talk anything. And then after a few minutes, I saw the boots of one of them passing by like a few meters away, but he didn't see us, so they couldn't find us. They were searching for a while, and then they went back to the other side of the river. That was the second night that this happened. And in the afternoon, my son was sleeping. That was like, you could count it as a second or third day. He was sleeping, actually the third day. And I saw that he was dreaming. His eyes was rolling, and then he was like eating food, taking something to his mouth. And then he woke up, and he didn't have any energy. He was just fainting. And he woke up and with very weak voice said, "Dad, I want to go home. I'm hungry. I need food. I want meat." And it was so hard on me. It was sorry that I get emotional even after many years, but it was very painful. And I said, "Son, we get out of this area, we will go home, don't worry, we will go home and you're gonna eat food. And I handed my son to my wife, and I walked away a little bit for a few meters, and I started crying. One of the very rare occasion in my life that I've ever cried. And then that night, I told my wife, I said, this is the last night. We are searching for something. If we cannot find anything, we have to surrender ourselves to the Greek Border Patrol to see what happens. And that night, we were searching, and I heard the voices of some people on the river. And I saw they were doing some activities, they were talking, and looks like they were fishing, so I thought they were fishermen actually. They were fishing on the branch of the Maritsa River, which it was inside Greece, not the one right on the border. And I screamed to the top of my lung. I had a flashlight. I was just sending some message like SOS. So after probably 15-20 minutes screaming and flashing the light, and finally one of them saw us, and then he came toward us in his motorboat. He stopped a few meters away and then said, "Oh, what do you want?" He spoke in English. At that time I couldn't speak English. I knew some words but I couldn't put the words together to make a sentence. So he had a flashlight directing at us to see who's there. And I grabbed my son. I said, "Hungry, hungry." And he said, "Okay, wait, I'll be back." After like about 20-30 minutes, he came back with some food and 2-liter Coke. These big bottles that we see everywhere. We were happy, and then I asked him to take us to the other side, and he said, "No, we cannot. It's forbidden." Actually, I learned that word there, that he said is forbidden. We cannot do it. And I understood that he said, in the morning when the soldiers come, just ask them to take you to the other side. So we ate and waited for the morning, and in the morning when the Greek Border Patrol, they came to watch tower, I saw one of them went up to the watchtower on the other side of the river. So I started screaming, and so he was hearing us, but he couldn't see us because it's, as I said, it's kind of foresty, bushy area, is wood. And then I grabbed my son and his coat, which was colorful, and waved it. And finally he saw us, and after probably half an hour, 40 minutes, he sent a boat, a motorized boat, to the other side. They took us to their base and said, "You entered illegally to our country, so you have to pay fine." And he said it's $1,300. I asked for help, for some discount or anything, and he said no, it's $1,300. And they gave us breakfast also. So I paid $1,300, which later on I realized it was actually $300. The fine was $300, and they kept $1,000 for themselves. And then they took us to the police station in Alexandropolis, which is a small town close to the border. And in the police station, they asked some questions. They searched our backpack and our body, and then they put us in jail in the basement of that police station. They put us in jail for 3 days. On the third night, along 82 other people, they put us on 2 buses, and they deported us back to Turkey. But not from that area. It was somewhere before the Maritsa River was branching out. So it was way north, and it was a bridge. So the buses stopped on the bridge and said, go ahead, go to Turkey. If you come back, we will shoot you. So along getting to other people, we went to a small, we were on the way actually to a small town in Turkey. I was one of the people who could lead the group, navigate at night through using the stars and moon. So we went to like close to the town, and then we got caught by the Turkish border patrol. And the soldier was close to us, and there are more details to it. These details are in my book. However, just briefly, I want to make this video as short as possible. So at that time, I told my wife in Kurdish, what a bad luck. And then he came closer and said, "Are you Kurd?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I am Kurd too." He was Kurd from Turkey. And he said, he looked at my son. I grabbed my son, and he looked at him, and he said, "I can release you. You can wait here for like 10-15 minutes after we left, and then you can go to town," which town was very close, actually, like 10 minutes walking from the place we got caught. And I said, "What's gonna happen to the group, to the other people?" He said, "If they say, because you were crossing the border from Greece to Turkey, the Turkish border patrol will do exactly the same thing. So they're gonna send everyone back to Greece." But I said, "What happens if it was backward?" He said, "If you say you were going from Turkey to Greece and you got caught, then they will release you after a couple of days, and they send you to Istanbul, and you'll be free." And I said, "Okay." And at that time, even now, Kurds, they don't have any right in Turkey. And it was very, very dangerous move for him to let my family, like 3 of us, to let go, and it's going to be very problematic for him. So I said, "What will happen to you?" He said, "Don't worry, it's worth it." And at that time I said, wow, he's sacrificing for us. And that reminded me one of the characteristic of the leadership. The great leaders always sacrifice for people at the time when they need him or her. And at that time I remembered 2 occasions in my life. Once when I was in Air Force and leading a group of 180 soldiers, and once when I was the president of students in medical school, and people told me they loved me because I sacrificed for them. And at that moment I said, well, we led the group up to here, let's finish it. I talked to my wife, and fortunately she accepted. Now we're divorced, as I mentioned before, but she was very courageous and brave, and she accepted. So I asked the soldiers, just take us back with the group. So meanwhile we were on the way to the Turkish border patrol station. We spread the word through a few young people who could speak like different languages, because the group were from different countries and they spoke like different languages. But fortunately, like there were 3 young boys, they could speak like different languages. So we spread the word, and when we arrived and we got interviewed by the officer, everybody said we were going from Turkey to Greece. So per their policy, they kept us for 48 hours, and then after 48 hours they put us on 2 buses, they sent us to Istanbul, and we were free. At that moment, like on the way to Istanbul, we talked with my wife, and we decided to go to the UN in Ankara and submit our case anyway. So that's what we did. There are a lot of details to this process. However, that's what we did. And when we submitted our case, the UN attorney said it takes 4 months to hear from us. However, I'm going to give you a letter, a UN letter to Turkish police not to deport you back to Iran. But you have to go back to the small border town. You cross the border from Iran to Turkey, and you have to stay there until you hear from us. And many people said it's very dangerous. The Turkish police will deport you. They don't care about the UN letter or anything. I said, okay, what's the alternative? What's the other option? If we get accepted and we didn't follow the rules of Turkish government, they don't let us to fly. So what's the point? So I said, no, we're gonna go. And we went to that border town. It was in the evening. We arrived there. We went to the police station. They said it's after business hours, so come back in the morning around 9 o'clock, and we're gonna have someone to translate for you, because we couldn't speak Turkish. My wife could speak a little bit, but not much. I couldn't. And the next day we went back to the police station. There was a gentleman from Iran, from Azerbaijan, Iran, they speak Turkish. A little bit different with Turkish in Turkey, but they understand each other. So he translated for us, and when we started talking, and the police officer who was interviewing me, he was coughing. And I said, your coughing looks like you have flu or something. So have you seen a doctor? Are you getting any medication? And he said, no. The doctor visit is very expensive, and the medications expensive too. So no, I haven't seen any doctor. I said, is it okay to write you a prescription? In Turkey, like Iran, unlike United States or Western countries, you can actually take a prescription to the pharmacy and get the medication. Because when the pharmacist look at the prescription, he knows that is written by a specialist, by a medical doctor. So it's obvious. And that's what we did. And right away we became friends with that police officer. And fortunately, it was very right move at the right moment. So we got lucky, because later on I hear that guy, his name was Ibrahim, and people said he is very mean. He has deported many people back to Iran. But we became friends, and we were waiting for the telegram from the UN. At that time there was telegram was a type of communication, not the Telegram app that you have on your phone. And on day 37, fortunately, we got the telegram from UN, said your case is accepted, and we will send your file to the American consulate. And a few weeks later, we got a telegram from the American consulate and told us to go to the first interview. They had 2 interviews. And after a few months, we had the second interview. Meanwhile, when you get accepted as temporary refugee in Turkey, you get a temporary ID card, and then they move you to somewhere close to Ankara. So they moved us to another town named of Çankırı, which was like 2-hour driving from Ankara, and we stayed there. There are a lot of details, how we lived, how we survived 1 year in Turkey. Those details are in my book, but here I just want to make it short. And then after the second interview, the officer said, yeah, you got accepted, and you will go to Denver, Colorado. And we didn't have any idea where was Denver, Colorado, except in my textbook, like medical textbooks, I knew about Rocky Mountains spotted fever. That was the only thing I knew about Colorado. And then later on when we came, I found it actually very similar to my hometown, especially Boulder was very similar to my hometown. But my hometown is surrounded by mountains and it's exactly mile high and the same climate, so very, very similar. So we got the acceptance, and then she said in 2 weeks you will get another telegram to tell you to go to Istanbul airport to get the airplane ticket and fly to United States. And I-94 also. I-94 is a legal form, it's a government form that they give to asylums or refugees. They get accepted legally to the US, so they can enter with this form. And 1 week later, actually, we got a telegram said, sorry, the American immigration policy is changed and you have to wait. And we waited and waited for a long time. So I called the interpreter. At that time I couldn't speak English, obviously, and I called the lady who was translating for us, and I asked for how long we should wait. She said, we don't know, it's day by day. So every single day I was checking the mailbox, sometimes twice or 3 times a day. We waited for 5 months. That was at the time of Bill Clinton in the office. And finally, after 5 months, we got a telegram said, now you're okay, go to Istanbul airport to get your I-94 and airplane ticket, and you can fly to the United States. That was October 30th. In the morning that we flew from Istanbul to JFK, and in JFK it took us like a couple of hours. They registered us based on the I-94, and then the next flight was from JFK to Denver, Colorado. We arrived on October 30th in the evening, and the very next day was Halloween. And at that time there was no internet or social media, and we didn't know anything about Halloween. We were wondering what's going on, what is this about? And my son asked, Dad, why people are wearing these weird costumes? We didn't know, but the gentleman who sponsored us for 2 weeks, he was from Kurdistan, Iraq, and he heard the news from another friend that friend was in church. The Lutheran church actually helped us to come to United States, and he heard from that friend that there is a Kurdish family from Iran coming to Denver, and they need some sponsorship for a couple of weeks, and so he accepted, and we stayed with them in their apartment for 2 weeks. In the second week I got a job as a cashier in a restaurant, in an American restaurant. So imagine, I couldn't speak English and I became a cashier in an American restaurant for $6 an hour. And he co-signed with me actually to rent an apartment in the same complex. He was very nice family, he, his wife, and they had at that time a little daughter, a couple years old. So that's how we arrived, and the Halloween was amazing. However, because when we arrived I had only $46 in pocket, even I was very happy, I was very satisfied that we arrived in the United States, but when I was thinking that I have only $46 in pocket, how we can survive, it was pretty painful. And later on we got some help from Jefferson County for a few months, and then I didn't renew the application because they told me I had to stop working in order to get the benefits, and I said no, just keep the application for yourself. I'm gonna add another job, and I live with dignity. So that's how we arrived with $46 in pocket, and it was pretty tough life at the beginning. Some very nice and kind American people helped us in to get some furniture and stuff. But in general, it was a pretty tough life at the beginning. And later on, through business, we made it. We made it to the top. We made it to a couple millions of dollars. And the details are in my book. Just here, wanted to mention how we arrived. So that was the story of our survival and arrival to the United States, and the details are in my book, In Pursuit of Freedom. In every chapter, actually every chapter starts with a story of my life, because my life was saved several times miraculously beyond belief in civil war between the Islamic regime and the Kurds and the Iran-Iraq war. And at that time, believe it or not, at that time I was hardcore communist. And then later on I called myself a socialist and such, and later on I got more mature and I understood the world. Now I'm a spiritual person. I don't practice any particular religion, but I believe in God. I believe in higher power, whatever you call it. My life was saved miraculously, not once, not twice, several times. In the book, I start every chapter with one of the stories and what happened in Iran, how the Islamic Revolution happened, how the Iran as a country got changed and went down from the top to the bottom. And I connected to the events, to the problem that is happening here in the United States and many other Western countries, unfortunately. So this book will be hopefully finished and published. I don't know when, maybe in next few months, but I need your help. To subscribe to my channel, I need at least 1,000 subscribers to my YouTube channel, so I can turn this channel to a podcast and bring leaders from different fields, from different walk of life and business, and politics and religion and everything else, to talk to them and find out that in every occasion, everything that happens in the life of a society, of a community, there are two main elements: the leadership and the followers. So when you have a great leader and you have intelligent followers, you can have a great community, a great society. When you have a weak leader or a bad leader and followers are just blindly follow the leader without thinking about it, that will be a disaster. So my book is about many miraculous things that happen in my life. It's about my life journey, which is full of events, very strange events. And I bring up in any chapter, I bring up at least one problem or issues or one good thing of leaders and the leadership style and the followers, but mostly we talk about the leaders. Thank you so much for watching. Please go ahead, like this video, share it with your friends, family members, co-workers, colleagues, people in your community, and please subscribe and encourage them to subscribe to my channel. The link for the video about my book and the link to the website that it's a fundraising website for my book are in the description. And at the end of this video you see a thumbnail of the video about my book, which is just like 6 minutes, and a video, short video also about my goal and my vision. So please go ahead and subscribe and encourage people to subscribe to my channel and help me to finish the book and publish it as soon as possible. because I believe this book will help us as a nation to reunite. And by the way, you can see, if you go to my website, the link to my website is in the description also, and you can see a flyer about how we can reunite our nation, our people, regardless the point of view in politics, in religion, in philosophy of life, or anything else. We are one nation, and we have to reunite to make our great country great again like before, and we stand up for our leadership in the world, because with strong leadership in the United States, you see peace in not only in Middle East, in the whole world. With weak leadership in the United States, you see wars, you see chaos in different places in the world. So please help me, and please stand up for your beliefs. Please stand up for what is right for the nation, regardless of your point of view in politics, in religion, or philosophy of life, or anything else. We have to reunite and come together as a nation and make it happen. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your help. Sorry that this video was much longer than what I thought, and much longer than the other videos. Usually my videos are very short, less than 15 minutes, usually around 5, 6, 10 minutes. However, this was necessary to talk to you briefly. This is just very brief. The details about our stay in Turkey for 1 year, and what happened, and how we survived, those details are in my book. And you will see a lot of strange stories in the book. Please go ahead and help me out to finish the book and publish it as soon as possible. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching, and please go ahead and help me to get 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Thank you so much. You have a great day or night whenever you watch this video.